In this clip I'm going to show you how to connect the halos and the LEDs in the bottom of these headlights. I already have a clip of how to install and remove them, because for this I will remove them just to make it easier. I will also run a cable from this side to that side and install some plugs. I've seen a lot of these installed on the road and nobody's ever bothered to connect them up, maybe not knowing how. So this will show you how to do that. I've got a test battery here and I just want to see which is which. I want to use the halos for driving lights, they're on all the time, and the LEDs at the bottom here I want to use for park lights. Instead of just a little bulb, I just want to use them as park lights. So I wanted to check first. These will be the parking lights as well as that globe, and I found the wires for these. I'm just going to join them together. I want both of them on it all the time, not just one. And these, I want those on all the time. So I know what I want now. I know which wires are which. To leave the wiring to a minimal, I'm going to wire the park lights to the original park globe. So the globe will be on and the LED park lights will be on. They'll be separate to the halos. So you can join the red wire to the black and pinky purple color and the black to the black. You can use those little scotch locks, the wire locks if you like, but I'm going to solder them. I'm going to cut these wires, solder them up, solder these two and put some shrink tube over it. I'll show you the finished result when I'm done. But if you really wanted to, you could just scotch lock them. Go to the hardware store, auto shop, see if I've got one to show you. No, I don't. You just squeeze it with a pair of pliers and you join them together. It's satisfactory but not the best. That's why I'm going to solder it. Solder it after soldering, no more problem. Okay, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. So that's the LED park lights done. You just join them to the original park lights and they're finished. As you can see, I've soldered the two wires back onto the one on both sides. I've got some shrink tube to slide over it, heat that up, and that's done. And there it is, all soldered up and ready to go back in. And that concludes the wiring up of the park brake, or the LED park brake. I don't know why this one is open on this one, as it's closed on this one. So I'll just put some tape over it and close that one off too. Anyway, now the halos. I've soldered some little plugs on the end of the halos. Where are we? I've soldered them. I love soldering, never have any problems later. And I'm using a little plug like this so that we can unplug it if we ever have to take the headlight out. I'll do a similar thing on the other side, but including the power ignition on wires. So the halos are on whenever the ignitions are on. Halos use very little power. They're LED powered, and they use very small amount. So if you're only good with a soldering iron, use solder. If not, you can squish them only, and you don't have to even put plugs in, but I would recommend it. If you ever take the headlight out, it's annoying if there's no plug. So okay, I'll put this one plug on and I'll show you when the other one's done. Okay, I've put a plug on either end of these halos. Then you need to cut a piece of wire, double, that will run from one headlight around the front to the other headlight. Alright, so it will reach from one side to the other. You put this plug on one end, and in a minute I'll show you to do what to do with the other end. Okay, so now I've got the halo cables, wires going to the plug, going to the wire that goes to the other side, and then the two halos I've got going into one, and I've connected another length to the earth wire. These two will go to the ignition on. So when the ignition's on, so the halos are on all the time when you're driving, and these three will go to the other side headlight plug. I will mount that to it. I'll show you again in a minute. Okay, so now I have these separate halos and an earth. So now positive power goes to both halos on those headlights and an earth. I don't know if these methods are correct. I just do them as I think they need to be done. So we'll find out. So this one goes in there because I've always got my earth on the bottom and the two lives at the top. So, and black stripe is earth. Don't get it wrong. You'll end up with some blown fuses. Okay, so that now plugs into that one. And I've got the two wires that need to go to ignition on. They don't need to be this long, but so there we go. Got a harness for the halos. I'll just neaten this up a bit with tape and I'll test it and I'll show you before we put it in. Alright, I've neatened it up. Got the two, a positive and a negative, and separate halo wires going to each halo. The reason I've done that, just in case I decide I want only one halo instead of the two. The possibility is to do that. At the moment they're all connected together. Let's connect them up and see what happens. And there you go. 4 halos. So now we put the headlights back in. And hook these up to an ignition on point. This is the harness. I don't know how long these need to be yet, so I haven't taped them up. Okay, the headlights are in. I've got the halo plug here and a halo plug there. my harness cable that I made up. One to plug in here, one for there, and just need to find a nice place to run it. There's a lot of cables and stuff there, but temporarily I'll just run it across the top of the radiator here. Then one day when I've got the radiator out and everything, I'll make a nicer place for it. Basically, it sits on top of the aircon intercooler condenser, I think it's called. And this one plugs into here. Beautiful. In the past, I fitted an aftermarket cooling fan switch. Let's see if you can see it there, which is right here, and I've put a relay switch just here. And to power the relay switch, I found a power on, ignition on, heavy thick one in this plug here. I've had zero problems doing that. I thought maybe it's connected to the computer or what, but I've had zero problems with it. And since the LEDs for the halos use so little power, I'm quite happy to tap that in here. So I just need to hook up a 1 amp fuse and then run the wires to that and run the earth to an earth. I'll probably, I don't know if you can see that. There's a really good earth here, which I've used for an earth for my aftermarket fan as well. So I'll probably just connect it on this side here. A good earth, and then the positive to my fuse. If you don't have aftermarket fans, you can still unwrap this one here and tap into that. You just bare it, remove some of the plastic coating, solder the wire to it, and then tape it up. This was taped up more, but I took the tape off to show you. And then I run it into this box in the fuse box. This is the lid for it, so stay there. So all I've got to do now is make up a fitting for this to go from 1 into 2, and I'm ready to plug it in. Okay people, this is not earth. It is the absolute opposite of earth. This is connected to the battery. It's been that long since I've done it, I forgot. So for an earth, I've put the earth wire with a little tack screw into the body. I would have joined it with the other earth here, but I'd already cut the cable too short. And here I'm now running, split it into 2 and running 2 fuses. And started with a 1 amp and just work my way up if need be, but LEDs, I don't think they'll need much more. All I do now is put the lid back on, tidy up, and test them. Back in a minute. Okay, first the park lights. The park lights on. Looking good. And the original lights are on. They're very dull compared to the park lights that are now. And halos, they're on all the time. Ignition's on. So nice. Actually, it'd be quite nice if both were on all the time. What do you think?
Yeah.
You could connect them up so they're like that. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. Should park lights be on all the time as well? The LED park lights? Or halos only? What's your opinion? Let me know. Don't forget to click like or subscribe.